This is time to get some film recommendations with James Luckford, our movie critic from Stratford-upon-Avon. James is here to review their picks of the good, the bad, and on demand. Very good morning to you. How have you been, James? How's your week been?
Not too bad, thank you. We've been enjoying the cinemas being back open, and the first sort of couple of weeks we've had cinemas back. People seem to have been flooding back, even with the space restrictions, the seating restrictions, and curfews. People seem to have been really embracing going back to the movies.
Yeah, I've not been back myself yet, James, but obviously my plan is to go to when there's something I want to see. But I'll tell you what I did watch yesterday, which I caught the sort of the last second half of, and it was one of those films I haven't seen for years, but once I started watching, I couldn't draw myself away from it. Was the colour version of Wizard of Oz. It was shown on T4 yesterday, and I'd forgotten how good a film that is in terms of the
It's
actors.
just it's just wonderful, isn't it? We were talking about another sort of classic era movie the other week, and I think I said, these films stick around for a reason, and I think they
Yeah.
sort of resonate with people. Obviously, many of the people who will see it won't have been born when it came out, and it just speaks to so many generations and just great filmmaking.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a 9-year-old niece, and she will have never seen that because she lives in Spain. But I think, when I was watching, I think I've got to show Sophia this movie because she loves musical films, and she would
Mm.
absolutely adore that movie. And I think she watched it. Like you say, James, it stands the test of time. That's probably why. Right, where are we going first on your movie review for the first film that you picked for us?
We are going to A Quiet Place Part 2, which is in cinemas from today. It's a horror sequel that continues the story of a family trying to evade monsters who hunt based on sound.
I don't know why he came all the way up here. There's nothing left.
There are people out there. People worth saving.
Sounds like is it quite a dark movie, James?
Oh yes, it's a very tense film. Really kind of um, works on that idea that what's very scary is not so much the jump scare, but sort of the anticipation of it, keeping things very very quiet as it did in the first film, A Quiet Place. It's tough to do a horror sequel that isn't just sort of the same thing repeated, and I think this has a good balance of opening up the world a little bit while still keeping the tension high.
Yeah, I mean, funny you should say that about horror sequels. I was reading something on one of the film. I don't know if it's something I may have read that you posted, James, which was about the Saw franchise has topped £1 billion in terms of what it's made over the years. One of the most successful horror franchises of all time now.
Yes, and that comes from the most recent film Spiral, which was sort of reimagined by the comedian Chris Rock, who wanted to try something a bit darker. And that's a great example of taking a franchise in a new direction, but still keeping the elements that people have kept coming back for.
Yeah, right. We're going to your second choice now, and Dream Horse.
Yes, that's in cinemas from Friday. It's Tony Collette and Damian Lewis star in a comedy drama about the true story of Dream Alliance, the racehorse owned by a small town in Wales who defied the odds in the elitist racing world.
I need something to look forward to when I get up in the morning. I'm going to breed a racehorse.
Absolute madness. It's normally wealthy professionals who go in for this kind of thing.
There's ways of doing these things, isn't there? 20 people in the village put in a tenner a week for 2 years.
When the horse is born, everyone will be owners. We'll all have an equal share.
It kind of feels like it's when Saturday Comes meets Seabiscuit meets the Full Monty.
Yeah, it really is. In Britain, we are very good in the British film industry of making this type of movie, which is an underdog movie. People from an unexpected place go into an area that you might not think. Yeah, Phil Monty, Calendar Girls, Billy Elliot, things like that. I thought this was all right. It's not a bad film by any means, but I think it's a bit formulaic. I feel like I've seen this sort of
I
film a
kind of,
lot.
yeah, I haven't seen it, but I kind of feel like I could tell you what the ending is right now. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it sounds very predictable, this movie.
Yes, and there was a film made a few years ago on the same subject, a documentary called Dark Horse, which talked to the people in the village and the people who bred Dream Alliance. And I think, any film that's sort of following a very good documentary has a problem in terms of, like, you can't really beat real life. And I think while it doesn't quite live up to that documentary, I think it's got a feel-good element to it. I think there will be a lot of people who like this and sort of come home with an uplifted feeling, even if, as we say, it's a little bit predictable.
Yeah, I think our producer Jenna was a big fan of the film. Now listen, that's the bad, James. So we've had the good, the bad. What about the on-demand? What have you picked for us?
On All 4 Now, we've got the on-demand version of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, a animated hit from a few years ago that sees several Spider-Men team up thanks to an altering of reality.
I can teach you to be Spider-Man. I love this burger. It's so delicious. One of the best burgers I've ever had. You have money, right? I'm not very liquid right now.
I think you're going to be a bad teacher.
Oh, I was a huge Spider-Man fan growing up, James. I had a Spider-Man mask. I used to jump out of the bushes and scare my sister's friends with. I mean, I was Peter Parker. I was a huge Spider-Man fan. This latest offering, it's animation, isn't it? And the animation is really sort of moved on from the days when I remember it.
Yes, it's a real kind of mixture of
Manga.
different. Yeah, a little bit. It's got the inspiration from that, and I just think this is a gorgeous film. It won an Oscar for Best Animated Film, and probably one of the better Spider-Man films, animated or live action, from the last few years. It's heartwarming. There's a unique animated style, as we say. It's funny, and I think well worth catching if you haven't seen it before, or just want to have a really fun adventure with all the members of the family. I think this will appeal to everyone in the family.
Yeah, James, there's some great choices, James. Really, really appreciate it. Have a lovely weekend as well. James Luxford, our movie reviewer, gone for A Quiet Place Part 2, Dream Horse as well, which is the comedy, and an animated movie, which is on demand on all platforms, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
BBC Sounds. Bring on the summer.